Hello.
Yes,
Any
ma'am.
other any other change that a physical or a chemical change can be classified based on?
Appearance?
Appearance, one of it. But let's go to the molecular level. Let's talk about the molecular level since you're doing chemistry.
Ma'am, the molecules are spaced differently.
No. It is a molecular formula. So what is the formula of ice? Formula of ice is dash. Formula of water is
H2O.
formula of steam is dash. So formula of ice is also H2O and formula of steam is also H2O. Okay, the formula is not changing in any whatsoever manner. The formula does not change. So if the formula does not change, you say it is a physical change. It is not a chemical change. So please remember this point. You want to write it down somewhere, you can write it down. Whenever I say a physical change, I mean there'll be change in appearance, color, shape, size. For example, clay. I'll take clay, I'll put it into a ball shape, I can put it into a cube shape. But if I'm taking a chemical and I'm heating it, for example, I'm taking a cracker and I'm bursting it. So the cracker had certain chemicals before I lit it with fire. After I lit it with fire, those chemicals reacted and they formed something else. So now the chemical formula of those components have changed. Okay, is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I think we'll start with today's class. You can pin yourself to KitKat Lab. So can you see KitKat Lab is starting the presentation? Please
Yes,
pin
ma'am.
yourself to the presentation. Someone is writing my voice is breaking. Is my voice clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay. So we've pinned ourselves to KitKat Lab and we can see the presentation. This is a little bit continuation for yesterday's class. Uh, we want to study about law of conservation of mass. Now, there's something which is called as we did yesterday law of conservation of matter. Can someone recollect that law of conservation of matter?
laws conservation.
What is it?
Ma'am, uh, a,
Ma'am, I
a
think
solid, a
the laws
solid
of
state.
conservation matter.
I yesterday I said matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can change from one form to the other. Yes, we did that. Law of conservation of matter. Matter is neither created. We said we are not God. We only can change matter from one form to the other. So if supposing in the picture there is a photo of a scientist, he's making water. On the left hand side there is uh, H2 and there is O2. There is H2 gas and there is O2 gas. Now that is getting converted into H2O, that is water. So we are creating H2O, but we are creating H2O from some other matter. So we are not actually creating matter. We are just converting it from one matter to the other matter. Yes? Let's go to the next slide. Okay. So we are talking about law of conservation of mass. This was discovered by the scientist Antony Lavoisier. what he did was he started burning substances in a controlled area. Why a controlled area is so that before the experiment is done and after the experiment is done, he wants to measure everything that is going on around that. So all the gases that are released, everything. So that has to be done in like a closed room, or to rather to say not in a closed room, like a closed box kind of an environment. So he can measure the things very well, even of gases and everything he can measure very well. Okay. And there's a little bit history about it that he was beheaded during the French Revolution also. But it was in 1777 that Antony Lavoisier he discovered the law of conservation of mass. Okay, we'll go to the law. So, if supposing you see here on
Ma'am, actually, I
the
joined a little
left hand
late,
side,
so
you can
can you
see
give
that
me
there is
a
a jar which is in a controlled environment. Can you see the controlled environment? We've covered it with a glass jar. Okay. Now, what is kept inside it is 100 grams of coal. Coal you have seen, no? Anytime? Coal, have you seen anytime coal? I'm sure you all must have seen coal, black color coal.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what did the scientists do? They started a reaction. They started burning the coal. When they burnt the coal was formed into some gases, and very little bit whatever ash was remaining was found there. But the gases didn't have any place to escape because they were completely covered in a glass container. So all the gases that were formed or all the byproducts that were formed during the reaction were still inside in that glass container. So the measurement of that glass container even after the reaction was 100 grams. So what does this show? That matter is neither being created nor being destroyed. You're just transforming it from one form to the other. So the first form of matter was 100 grams of coal, solid. 100 grams of pure coal, that is carbon, pure carbon, uh, that is 100 grams. Now when I'm burning it, it is forming into carbon dioxide and steam, that is H2O. That all is getting trapped into the right hand side where you can see the glass container. So that, like I said, we feel that gas has no mass. Gas does have mass. Gas has mass also, and gas occupies volume also, right? So the gas that is contained in that glass container on the right hand side is having the mass of 100 grams. So I am just transforming my energy from one form to the other. I just transformed it from solid state to gaseous state with probably a little bit byproduct of some ash also, and the mass remained the same. So this is proving that my matter is not being created, it is not being destroyed. You're just converting it from one form to the other. Okay, next. Okay, this is,
Ma'am, I just joined, so can you give a quick recap?
sorry.
Ma'am, I just joined, so can you give a quick recap?
Okay, so we are just discussing the law of conservation of matter. That is, matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. One another example of that is here. That is, if I want to make H2O, if I want to make H2O, I will take H2 gas and I will take O2 gas. So from that, I'm requiring two atoms of hydrogen and I'm requiring one atom of oxygen. So whatever the mass of that particular uh, addition of that compound is. So like for example, I say 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 becomes 4, right? Can 2 plus 2 become 3 or 2 plus 2 become 5?
No,
No,
ma'am.
that would be like creating or destroying matter. So we are not doing that. We're just converting it from one form to the other. So that 2 plus 2 which was there, which was in two separate forms, has now become 4. Same thing is happening here. The two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen is now combining. Now their chemical formula is changing. Now there is a chemical change that was taking place and it is getting converted into H2O in this kind of form where the O is in between it has got two chemical bonds. We studied yesterday intermolecular bonds.
Yes, ma'am.
Two chemical bonds catching two hands of the hydrogen. So when I take the mass of both of this is a beam balance. We did a beam balance before in the lab. Beam
Yes,
balance will be exactly at the center when the two pans are balanced. So here the pan is completely balanced, means it's showing before and after the reaction. It is going to remain constant. The matter is not being created, the matter is not being destroyed. Okay, next. So here there's another example of it. Initially we had CH4. CH4 is nothing but methane. Okay, so C is one, the one atom of C, four atoms of H, and four atoms of O. Four atoms of O is what we are adding. That 2O2. 2O2 means O is twice we are taking O2. 2. O is one atom. If I make O2, it becomes a molecule. So I'm taking two such molecules. So there are going to be four atoms of oxygen. So on the left hand side, if you see the atoms, carbon is 1, hydrogen is 4, and oxygen is 4. So there are this on the left hand side, what you can see is the atom numbers. How many atoms are there? On the right hand side, that CH4 and that O2 has now become CO2, and it has become 2H2O. So it has become, the chemical formula is changing. Methane plus oxygen is becoming carbon dioxide plus H2O. Now in that, if I go to C, there is only one C on the right hand side. There are again 4 hydrogens and there are 4 oxygens. So I am not changing the matter. I am just converting it from one form to the other. So the first form of the matter was methane and oxygen. Now it is getting converted into another matter, that it is becoming carbon dioxide and water. So here there is no change happening in terms of the matter. What is only changing its form. So again we prove that matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to the other. Someone is telling me that my voice is not clear. Is my voice not clear?
Ma'am, it's perfectly
Yes,
clear.
ma'am. Even I can't hear
It's
it
clear.
properly.
Ma'am,
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 perfectly clear.
can you speak a bit louder?
It's
Okay.
perfectly clear.
So you can check your connection, because if someone is hearing me properly and someone is not, then probably it's a connection error at your end. So just check it. Okay, just check. Okay, can we go to the next slide? Okay. Here another example of conservation of mass. There are lots of examples of conservation of mass in this presentation. Okay. Here again I have got wood. Wood has a certain formula. That wood, when I'm burning, whenever I say burn, I react it with oxygen. Whenever I say burn, I'm reacting it with oxygen. Remember that. Burning requires oxygen. That is why whenever there is fire, what we try to do is we try to put sand over the fire, or we try to put a blanket, so that you're cutting off the oxygen layer. Okay, so whenever I say burning, oxygen is going to come into the picture, into the chemical reaction. Remember that for your lifelong. Whenever you do chemistry, whenever there is burning, there is going to be oxygen involved in the reaction. So whenever wood is burning with oxygen, it is going to yield some ash and some carbon dioxide gas and some water vapor. Okay, whenever I take up the masses of it in a controlled environment again, because if it is not controlled, what am I producing? I'm producing gas, I'm producing carbon dioxide and water vapor gas. Those will escape easily. Like we said, the gases are highly energized molecules. They like to run away. They like to just go away to different secluded environment. So it is very important for us, if we are studying such kind of a reaction and we want to yield some reaction, some result from it, we do it in a controlled environment. So when you do that, you come to know that the mass of the wood that you took and the mass of oxygen that was there was equal to the product's form. Means the reactant is equal to the products, the mass. The mass is remaining the same. In the previous slide, we saw that even the atoms were also remaining the same. That is when we go to the molecular level of it. But if you don't even go to the molecular level, if you're just physically checking it by checking the weighing balance also, you come to know that the masses are going to remain the same. And then if you go more study deeper into it, if you remove the chemical formula of each and every thing, and then you see the atoms will also remain the same. You will not destroy the atoms. Okay. So remember conservation of mass, that mass is going to remain the same. It is not going to change. The products and the reactant is going to just come at a balanced form. Only what will change will be their form.
Ma'am,
Probably the
ma'am, when nuclear factors, you said that
oh,
they break the nucleus to get nuclear
yes,
energy.
yes,
How how
yes.
how is that not destroying mass?
Nuclear reactions are totally different. They are not in chemical. Nuclear reactions are nuclear reactions. They are not chemical reactions. Okay? I had told you all that in the beginning only. In the nucleus, you are splitting the atoms or you are joining the atoms. There also, you're not creating something new. Okay? You are just splitting. What was there, you're just splitting into something that is known. Or you're just combining into something that is known. Again, you're not producing something new in that. Okay? In a
Okay, ma'am.
nuclear reaction also. Yes? Okay. Okay. Next. Okay, here another example. We're talking about Al2O3. Al2O3. So there are how many Als on the left side? Count. See, the blue colors are the Al. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 atoms of Al. That is aluminium. Okay. Next to it, uh, attached to it, that is bonded to it, there is oxygen atoms in the red. How many oxygen atoms on the left hand side, that is on the reactant side? There is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So aluminium there are 4, and the oxygen atoms there are 6. Now let's compare it to the right hand side. Now that is reacting, and that Al2O3 is becoming only Al now, only aluminium. So when it is becoming only aluminium, again the number of atoms is remaining the same. It is Al, 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 4 Als. Atom is not going to change. Okay. Oxygen also there were 6 on the left side. On the right side also there are again 6. Now that Al2O3 is combining with 3 atoms of carbon. So here also on the right side you will see that there are 3 atoms of carbon. Okay. So like I said, if supposing uh, let's talk about diamond. Okay. Like if I go to see diamond, the jeweler has given you 3 or 4 different types of diamonds, and then you look at it and then you say that, oh wow, these all are very nice, and you pick up the most shiniest one. Okay, you'll pick up the most shiniest one. So that is what you're going and you're looking at its physical factors. You're looking at the virtual look of it. Okay. Now if you want to identify whether it is really a diamond or no, you will go into further details of further studies of it. So when you go into further studies of it, you come to know that, oh yes, it has a particular cut, it has a particular color, it has a particular shape. Okay, it is a real diamond, it is not a real diamond. So then you go into the more detailed factor, more chemical factors into it. Same way, if initially we want to study a chemical reaction, we'll just do basically a physical balance test. That is, we'll see that before reacting the reactants mass and after reacting the products mass. That you did, that was a physical test you did. Now when you go to into the chemical, you go more deep into it, you want to study more into it, you'll go into the chemical structure of it. You will see that the number of atoms that were involved initially, that were involved in the reactants, are same to the number of atoms that are involved in the products also. So they are remaining the same. Okay, so again and again, we always are coming to the proof that law of conservation of mass, law of conservation of matter, that is, matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. It is only transformed from one form to the other. Okay, next. Okay, so in this experiment, we were going to do this experiment, and I'll show you. Take the next slide. What we are exactly going to do. Okay, so on the left hand side, you can see in a flask. Okay, in a flask, you're going to take vinegar. You know what is vinegar, right? You use vinegar in the house. Okay, okay. And on that, I have kept a balloon, and in the balloon where it is hanging outside, I have put baking soda into it. Okay, and now I have taken the weight of it. Now the weight of it means my two reactants are what? Vinegar and baking soda. Okay, these are my two reactants. When I weighed it, the weight was coming as 3.861 grams. Okay, now what I did, now I want to start the reaction. So I'm going to pick up the balloon so that the baking soda falls into the vinegar. Now, as that balloon is picked up and baking soda falls into the vinegar, the reaction starts. Because the reaction starts, some kind of salt is formed in the flask, some kind of water is formed in the flask, and carbon dioxide gas is also produced. So when carbon dioxide gas is produced, you can see that the balloon is blowing up because of that gas. And because it is controlled environment, see again it is controlled. I'm not allowing the gas to escape out. I'm keeping the gas in that balloon. So that gas is getting filled up and filled up and filled up. And even after that also you observe the weight is remaining the same. My physical balance is showing the same weight, 3.861. So this is proving that my uh, reactants and products are the mass is remaining the same. So it is only a transfer of matter that is taking place. I am not creating anything, I am not destroying anything. I am only changing it from one form to the other. So this is what is one experiment that we will be doing in the lab when we meet, and this is what it is. Okay, next. Okay, one more experiment we do the similar way. Okay, so we take a solution of BaCl2, that is barium chloride, and we take a solution of sodium sulfate, Na2SO4. Okay, and then these two, A plus B, will become my reactants. So I have to separately weigh both of them. So I'm going to separately weigh both of them. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to mix both of them. So the minute I mix both of them, my products will start to form. So my products will start to form. I will take the mass after that also. So if I take the mass after that also, I will find out that my mass before the reaction and after the reaction is going to remain the same. That is, the reactant and the product is the same. Okay. Next. So here we finish the topic of law of conservation of matter. Basically, matter. We up till now we did matter. We did the interconversion of matter, the forms of matter, and now we did law of conservation of matter. That is all the law of conservation of mass. Okay. Any questions up till now? Any questions up till now, kids? Is everyone sleepy today because of it being a Sunday?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'm not getting any replies. Okay. So is this clear? Someone is asking to show the previous two slides. So this was one experiment, baking soda and vinegar, and after it formed the reaction, and the next
Ma'am,
experiment
what is
that
the
we'll
chemical? Ma'am, what is the chemical formula of baking soda and vinegar?
okay, the chemical formula of baking soda is NaHCO3. NaHCO3, that is baking soda, and vinegar is CH3COOH. The salt that is formed is CH3COONA. Water is H2O and carbon dioxide is CO2.
Ma'am, sorry,
Ma'am,
I didn't hear you. I was
Okay, baking soda is NaHCO3. Baking soda is NaHCO3. Vinegar is CH3COOH. Okay, is this reactance clear to you? I am.
Ma'am, I didn't hear after what is vinegar. Vinegar is
Is my voice
HCl.
not clear? Swapna, my voice is not clear.
Ma'am, his voice was
ma'am,
hanging.
No, your voice is audible, Farida.
ma'am,
Ma'am, his voice was
Okay.
hanging, so I think so it is his connection problem.
Yeah, it was his network which was not correct.
ma'am,
Okay.
can
Okay.
you please
So,
speak
if
loudly?
I am for you, what we'll do is we will put in the formula on the group. Okay, for the reaction. I am
Can you speak a little loudly?
I'm speaking at my loudest form right now in my house. Everyone in my house can hear my voice. Okay. Okay, I'll try to speak more louder. Okay.
Ma'am, can you give the presentation? Ma'am, can you send the presentation?
Yes, kids, we are coming up with the presentation. You will be getting the previous ones also. You'll be getting the further ones also. All the presentations you'll be getting it on our website, but it's going to take a little bit more time. Wait, just hold on for some time. As soon as that website is getting updated, we'll let you know. Okay, so just wait on for some time. Okay, you will get all the presentations up till now that you all have done.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Can you go to the last slide in which ma'am just went
Hmm.
before the question slide?
Okay.
Ma'am, where is this SO in the periodic table?
Where is?
Ma'am, the SO chemical.
There is no chemical as SO. It's a compound, not an element.
Okay,
Right?
what's your name? What's your name who asked me this question?
Region.
Shrija. You know, I've noticed one thing. You ask me questions that I'm going to discuss later on. So why don't you hold on your queries for a little bit? We said no, we'll be doing the periodic table today. So can you hold on your queries up till that time?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so now we don't have any more doubts on this topic. I think we'll go to the next topic. So we're going to start with the topic of the periodic table. Okay, so to understand the periodic table, you need to understand the concepts of element, compounds, and mixtures. Okay, so for that, I want you all to sit with a pencil and a book. I'm giving you 2 minutes. Just get a pencil and a book if you don't have, or an empty page where I want you to write. Okay, whatever I tell you, you're going to write it down fast. Fast 2 minutes. Okay, I'll start. So if you see in the presentation, you can see that uh, we're talking about matter. Okay, now we are going to the molecular level of it. We saw the physical level of it. We saw how it is looking like solid, liquid, gas, how interconversion is happening because of physical factors like heat or pressure. Okay, now we're going to the more of a molecular formula of it. Now, matter, anytime whenever I want to classify matter, I classify it into two groups. One, I will say pure, nothing mixed into it. Okay, it will be pure. Like how we say pure gold.
Your voice is breaking.
Mm, is it breaking for everyone?
Ma'am.
No, it's very
Yes, ma'am, when someone's mic is unmute that time.
See, whoever feels my voice is breaking, you all can quickly leave and then rejoin again. Because I think majority has not felt my voice breaking. Okay. Now, am I perfectly audible to everyone?
And you were there all the time.
Okay, fine. So now we're going to study about matter. Anytime you go to buy something, the first thing you ask, भैया अच्छा है ना? भैया it is pure है ना सब कुछ कुछ उसमें मिलावट नहीं है ना? हाँ? You ask that first question. Okay, so in matter also we've got two types of matter, pure matter and one is a mixture. Okay, now first we'll go to the pure matter. Okay, when I'm talking about pure matter, here I'm talking about the chemical formula. Okay, I'm not talking about the physical appearance of it. Okay, when the chemical formula is same all throughout the matter, all throughout the matter, like if I say ice, okay, my each and every part of ice will have the formula H2O. Not even one part of the ice will have a formula CO2. If it has a formula CO2 in it, then it is not pure substance, it becomes a mixture. Okay, so whenever I am saying pure substance, I am meaning the formula of it is same everywhere in that matter. Okay, in that, now we come to two more parts. One we're talking about elements, one we're talking about compounds. Element. Now, what is element? Now, like you have your cupboard. Okay, you have your cupboard. In your cupboard, there are different components to put your school clothes, your undergarments, your party wear, your jeans, your outside clothes, or whatever. Okay, you're compartmenting them and you're putting into different things, right? That same way, elements are those different compartments. Those elements are those different substances that we have found in the nature. Around there are 118 elements that we know up till now. 118 elements we have known up till now, and those elements are the ones that we have put into the periodic table. Okay, now when those elements are combining with each other chemically, so when they combine with each other chemically, they are forming a compound. That is what is a compound. So for element, a very basic example I'll give you is hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen is H2, oxygen is O2. Okay, so element is hydrogen and oxygen. When I'm combining them, it is becoming into a compound. It is becoming into a compound. Okay, now wherever I go in the world, for that matter, even if I go out of the world also, where they're trying to find water, they're trying to find water on Mars, they're trying to find water on Jupiter, they're trying to find water on Venus, they're trying to find water on Moon also. Wherever they're trying to find water, they're trying to find the formula H2O. That formula is going to remain the same. I go to Australia, I go to UK, I go to US, I go to India, I go to a village in India. Wherever I go, my formula of water is going to remain H2O. That is why I put it into the pure substances category. Okay, like I said, the substances that have same formula throughout. So if I'm talking about pure gold, or if I'm talking about pure silver, wherever I go into the world, that formula is going to remain AU. AU it is going to remain for gold, and AG it is going to remain for silver. Yes,
Ma'am,
if there is an impurity mixed into it, then you will classify it as 99% pure, or you will tell it as 80% pure. Okay, you will say that. But the formula of gold, wherever you go in the world, is going to remain as AU only, and Ag for silver. So when the chemical structure is remaining the same wherever throughout universally, that substance is what we are classifying into pure substances. Okay, now we'll go to the mixtures. In the mixtures, very common example, I love to give this example to kids, is bhel. Okay, we all love bhel. Okay, my preference of bhel is what? I like more of save into it. So I like to make bhel with more save. Probably someone else's, my daughter, she loves bhel with more of murmura. Okay, now her definition of bhel and my definition of bhel is different. Okay, here if my definition of bhel is becoming different, means my formula is changing out there of the bhel. Here my formula of bhel is what? Murmura, one hand. Save, two hands. What is her formula? Murmura, two hands. Save, one hand. So the formula is changing. It is not remaining universal throughout. Chalo, let's give another example. We're talking about, we all like to drink Glucon D or Tang or Rasna. Okay? Some people like it a little bit sweeter extra. So what we do is we put normally 1.5 spoons. Some people would want to put 2 spoons into that sharbat. Okay, so here that is going to change. It is going to become a mixture because you can't define the chemical formula of it anywhere. Throughout the world, all the people will want it differently. Okay, so here the chemical formula is not remaining the same, and that is why we've come to the point of mixtures. Now, in mixtures, why do we call it homogeneous and heterogeneous? Okay, heterogeneous is when you can identify. Like if I take sand and if I take stone. Okay, if I take sand and stone and I mix it, I can identify the sand and the stone into it. Okay, if I take water and salt, and it will mix, it will become a mixture of salt water. I won't be able to identify the salt and the water because the salt has dissolved into it. Though it has dissolved into it, but it is not chemically dissolved. See, yesterday I told you mixing is not a chemical process. Mixing is a physical process. What happens? That salt molecules goes and fits into the space between the water molecules. It goes and plays hide and seek, right? So here, when I say homogeneous is when I'm mixing two things and I don't come to know the composition of the mixture. Very good example are alloys. All alloys are made up of by physically mixing the metals. So one alloy that we put into our mouth, we put a mixture of silver for dentine. when we want to fill in the teeth that we do root canaling, we put mixture of silver amalgam. So we are putting a mixture of silver and mercury. Okay, it's just a physical mixture, but you don't come to know. You feel that there is silver only put out there, or probably some people put gold also. So they feel it's only gold, but it's actually a mixture of gold and mercury. Okay, so when you don't come to know that there is a mixture, we call it homogeneous mixture. But when you do come to know the mixture, then it is a heterogeneous mixture. Is this brief clear with all of y'all? Then we'll go more detail into it.
Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
Okay,
Yes,
next
ma'am.
slide. Next slide. Okay, here it is just an example of whatever we just spoke right now. If substances, or instead of substances you can say matter also, is classified on the left hand side into pure substances, and in pure substances we are classifying them into elements and compounds. Lot of elements are there: hydrogen, iron, carbon. All of those we are going to study into the periodic table. Okay, the compounds are the formulas that were made using those elements. So there's going to be H2O, carbon dioxide, acetone, vinegar, baking soda, whatever we spoke of, so many chemicals right now in the previous slides, or lot of chemicals that you are surrounded with throughout in your house. Okay, hydrochloric acid for washing your bathrooms, your washing soda, that is the washing powder that you are using. Okay, those all are formed, and
Ma'am,
those
NaCl. Ma'am, NaCl.
yes, so those all are your compounds. Now, when we go to mixtures, in mixtures we go to heterogeneous and homogeneous. In the homogeneous, best example, air, it is a gas mixture. Air is the best, it's mixed up of how many gases? Nearly 10 to 12 gases. We don't even come to know. Can you see oxygen and nitrogen separately? No, you can't.
No,
They are
ma'am.
all there. So that is why air is called as a homogeneous mixture. Okay. Solutions, like we spoke about, sugar solution, salt solution, carbonated solutions, what you drink in your soda. Your soda is nothing but water mixed with carbon dioxide. So when you're, earlier times, there was a time when, the new soda mixer, the soda maker had come into the market. So there would be a soda can, there would be a can that would contain soda, that is not soda, that would contain carbon dioxide gas, and whatever sharbat mixture you make, whatever you make, that sweet mixture, that you have to just keep it into that machine, and that machine will insert carbon dioxide into it, and you will get your homemade lemonade mixture, or you will get your homemade thumbs up, homemade uh, limca, etc., etc. Okay, so again, those are uh, homogeneous mixtures. Alloys is what I just told you all. Alloys is one part of it. Okay, in the heterogeneous parts, suspension, again, like I told you, sand and pebbles, or sand and water for that matter.
Ma'am, stone.
Stones, yes. Hmm? Emulsions. Uh, if I mix oil and water, or if I'm making mayonnaise, milk is also an emulsion. How it is, we'll go into details of it when we'll go to that part. Okay. So right now, just hold on. Milk is a mixture of uh, milk is a mixture of what? Milk and water, na? Huh? Milk is a mixture of proteins and water. Proteins and water. Okay, milk is a mixture of proteins and water. Next time we'll be doing separation of components. In the next class, I will ask you all to get few things. So we'll be separating that proteins from the milk. Okay. Then all the ores all the ores, granite, marble, they all are again. See in the marble sometimes, can you see if you all have got marble tilings or you've got granite on your kitchen sink? You'll see those different colored pebbles into it. You'll see streaks of different shiny substances into it, or probably not non-shiny substances into it. So those all have been compressed over time. So those are all again heterogeneous mixture. Okay. Uh, in the this we find smoke. Those all are also heterogeneous mixtures. Okay. Okay. Next slide. Okay. So an element will contain only one kind of atom. Okay. When the element is there, it is now we're going to element. Okay. Now we're going to purely to element. Forget all the other. Now we're going to element. When I say element, I'm meaning that only one and one kind of atom is there into it. Only one kind of atom. Okay. You can't break this down further. This is the simplest form of matter, element. You can't break this down. Atoms you can't break down any more further. There are parts of atoms. There is proton. Those are called parts of it. Okay. But if I want to go to a more simplified form of atom, I can't go into any more simplified form. This is the most simplified form of the atom. This is the most simplified form of the matter. Sorry. Okay. So atom is the smallest part that you can ever exist. Okay. So these are all the elements that we know: hydrogen, helium, oxygen, chlorine, sulfur, ozone, etc. Okay, these all are the elements that we know, and there are many more that we'll be doing right now. They that are there right now. Okay, so I want you to quickly write down this, write down element, and write down a dash, put a dash out there, and put only one kind of atom. Only one kind of atom. Okay, so I hope you've done this. Okay, you all can draw there two examples. One example you can draw of helium. You can write helium and you can draw it. The other example you can draw of ozone. So two examples you can draw out there.
Ma'am,
Yes.
the symbol of oxygen O or O2? Ma'am, the symbol of oxygen, is it O or O2?
You'll understand that. Wait, hold on. Just hold on to it. Hold on. Just write down.
Heat, I think.
Oh, just hold on. I'll solve your doubts. Wait, hold on. Okay, next slide. Okay, here we have got the pure substances. We're going to now compound. Okay, the compound is formed when there are two or more elements that are combining together. Okay, so when there are two or more elements combining together in a fixed ratio, we call that to be as a compound. Now, in this compound, you are going to draw this H2O. Draw H2O. So write down compound. It is form of two or more elements. And just draw an example of H2O.
So what have to draw?
The H2O. And write down their H2O.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, next. One second. Huh? Okay, so you all just finish doing that. I'll just come back to you.
Ma'am, so if you mix any element with any element, it will make a molecule. Ma'am,
Ma'am has told us she'll come after some time.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Wait 1 second.
Ma'am, I
Can we go one slide behind? Can we go one more slide behind? Um. Uh. Okay. So this is atom and this is compound. We'll go more ahead, more ahead, more Okay, so now we are going to go more deeper into the elements. Okay, I told you there are 118 elements that we have up till now. Okay, 118 elements we have identified on the earth. Okay, out of that, 94 occur naturally on the earth. 94 occur naturally on the earth, and 24 are synthesized. They have been made in the lab. Okay, now I want you to look at your periodic table. Now please open your periodic tables.
Done, ma'am.
You all have opened it? On what
Yes,
page
ma'am.
number is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am is behind.
Just 1 second when I'm opening that.
Ma'am, 1 second.
Uh, the periodic table is given in your books, in your KitKat books, or you have taken it from somewhere else, the periodic table. Kids,
Ma'am, I
Ma'am,
took general science book.
Taken it from the science book.
I've taken
okay,
it from
science book.
somewhere else, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Ma'am, I took from Chrome.
Ma'am, I know 61 elements.
Okay. So now if you see the periodic table, okay, if you're going to see it, first element is hydrogen on the left hand side. On the right hand side, the second element is helium. Okay, so that way we go from 1 number, 2 number, then we go to 3 number lithium, then we go to 4 number beryllium, then we go to 5 number boron, and so on. So now that numbering is going on and on and on and on, and we will find the number 94. Let's find the number 94 that is in the last column, blue color, which shows uranium 92, below it is uranium 92. Then next it is showing NP 93 number, neptunium, and then 94 it is showing Pu. Okay, so up till these elements that are there, they all were found naturally in the earth surface, in the earth's atmosphere, everywhere in the earth. Okay, wherever possible, we have found all these elements on the earth. Okay, after that, we come to 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, and then again we go upside. Upside it shows again RF, dB, SG, BH, and so on, and it goes up to number 118. These elements were made in the lab. these elements are artificially prepared in the lab. Okay, so in this periodic table, we have placed them very well as per their chemical properties, as per the way they behave. Okay, so the periodic table is reflecting all the elements, for that matter, uh, all the atoms that are there in the universe. All, no, let's not say universe because we've not gone to the universe. All the atoms that are there on the earth. Okay, so now I want you to write the word atom. Okay, write atom, and then next to it draw one round. Okay, so when I say atom, I mean only one. I mean only one round. I mean only one of it. Just one bead. Okay, I want you to do that. Just one round. Okay, now we'll go to the next concept of it. Now we'll go to the next concept of it. Okay, we'll go to a slide again where it said that we have got where we had, yes. So we have naturally, one second. Naturally occurring 94 and 24 are synthetic elements. Okay, so up till now we know this. Okay, we'll go to the next slide of it. Next.
Ma'am,
Yes.
in 1811, French chemist Bernard Cotes or something like that accidentally discovered the element iodine while he was making explosives from seaweed.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
what
Yeah. Yeah. So when you discover something, it is there in the nature. When you invent something, it is not there. You're making it new. Okay. Chalo. Next slide. Okay. Now I want you to look at this very well. Okay. When I say elements, okay, elements sometimes can occur only as simply one atom. One atom only. So then we call them as monoatomic, like your helium. You drew first helium. Helium was only one atom. Okay. When I talk about certain atoms, like certain elements like hydrogen or oxygen or nitrogen, in the nature, naturally, they are occurring not as single atoms. They are occurring as two atoms bonded together. So now we call them as a molecule because it is not single, it is more than one. So we'll call them as a molecule. Okay. Sometimes some elements in the nature also occur as three together. Then we call them as triatomic. Triatomic, like your ozone. You drew the structure of ozone, so we'll call them triatomic. Okay, and some occur more atoms bonded together. For example, phosphorus, when we find in the nature, there are 4 phosphorus bound together, or sulfur, there are 8 sulfurs bound together. So then those become polyatomic. So when there is one atom, we call it as monoatomic. When there are two atoms, we call it diatomic. 3 triatomic, more than 3 polyatomic. But after two, we'll call all of them as molecule. Why do we call them as molecule? Because there are not one atom. It is not one atom. So we call them as molecule. So I want you to understand the difference between atom and molecule. Atom and molecule will be existing in elements also, and it will be existing in compounds also. Okay, they will be there in compounds also. But when I say molecule of an element, I mean that they are pure in that form. Means hydrogen is only hydrogen. Both the atoms will be hydrogen. When I will have with hydrogen Cl, HCl, then it becomes a molecule of the compound.
Load the phone.
To force an app to close, double-click the home button. Then swipe up on the app's preview to close it.
Who is disturbing in between?
Ma'am, Rebhav.
Okay, so I want you all to write atom. Okay, you all have drawn next to the atom one round structure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now below that write molecule. And draw two round structures.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, now both of this atom and molecule you'll combine it on the, if there is space on the left hand side or if there's space above, and combine it and write it that this both can exist in your element. In your element it will exist as atom. If atom is there, give an example. Like here there are atom examples: helium, copper, krypton, silver, carbon.
Ma'am, molecule, phosphorus is also considered as a molecule, right?
Yes, all of those will be considered molecules, but they will be molecules of the elements. Okay, elements are the ones that, like we said, we are forming them as a table in the periodic table to identify which elements are there where, how they're existing in the nature. So those all elements are, when they are in more than one atom combined together, then we call them as molecules of those elements. So elements are, when they are alone, we'll call them as monoatomic, or we'll call them as atoms. But when they are not alone, when they are more than 2, 3, 4, etc., then we'll call them as molecules. So please get this structure clear with you. When I'm telling molecule of oxygen, now someone asks me, ma'am, what is the formula of oxygen? Is it O2 or is it O3 or is it O? When I say oxygen molecule, I will say O2. When I say oxygen atom, I means only O. When I say ozone molecule, I will say O3. You can write this example down. This is a very good example. You can write it down. Atom of oxygen, O. Molecule of oxygen, O2. Molecule of ozone, O3. Write down these three sentences down.
Ma'am, can you repeat once again?
I didn't hear the first sentence.
Okay. When I say atom of oxygen, it will be only O. When I say molecule of oxygen, it will be O2.
Ma'am, is there any atom for ozone?
No, so atom of ozone will be only O, na? The ozone will not exist only as atom. Ozone will always exist as molecule only. Okay. And molecule of ozone will be O3. So there are a lot of examples that are given here. You can see it. Hydrogen di molecule. Then who's Ananya, please mute yourself. Okay. Then there is nitrogen, again a molecule. Oxygen, again a molecule. Fluorine, again a molecule. Chlorine, again a molecule. Bromine, again a molecule. Iodine, also molecule. Phosphorus, see how the phosphorus exists like a pyramid kind of a shape, again a molecule. and sulfur is like a crown shape. We call it the crown, octagon crown. It is also a molecule. Okay. Besides that, there are a lot of atoms only that are there in the nature. Some of them are helium, copper, silver, gold, carbon. All of those are atoms. Okay. So in the element, we first finish in the pure substances. We went to the element and we finished only the element. Is the element part clear with you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now we'll go to the next slide. Next slide.
Is my screen not visible?
It was not.
Ma'am,
Now
it
it
is
is
visible.
visible. Okay. Now we are coming to your compounds. Okay. Now from the elements we are going to make compounds, and I told you that the compounds, the structure is going to remain the same everywhere throughout the world, throughout the universe. Okay, I gave you the example of water. Now from the elements, from the single atom of those elements that we took, we are going to form a lot of compounds. The compounds can be example. The first example given here is NH2. The first, in the second line, the green is nitrogen and there are two hydrogens. Okay, so there is one in between, there is nitrogen and there are two hydrogens. So when such a structure comes, so we are involving more than one type of element. Okay, see, when I was talking about elements, only pure elements, we had molecules, but we had both of them hydrogen. There was only one type of atom. Okay, now here there are different types of atoms. Here there is nitrogen and there are hydrogens. So it becomes a compound. Okay. Now next, here we have taken carbon C2 and we've taken C3. Now these two examples, carbon C2 and C3, they will again come into the examples of elements. They will not come in the examples of compounds because they are the same atoms. Same atoms. Right? Then the fourth example is C and N. Again, two different types of atoms, two different types of elements. So when I have two different types of elements, I will call them as compound. CH, two different types of atoms. So it will be a compound. Below, we've taken three HCN, three types of atoms. So again a compound. C2H2, again there are two C's and two H's, means there are two different types of atoms, then that I'm taking two different types of elements. So it will be a compound. Similar for C2H6 and for the last example also NH3 also. So in the compounds we'll only have molecules. But in the elements we can have atoms as well as molecules. So further you might have a definition like this. What are molecules of elements and molecules of compounds? When I say molecules of elements, means they are just pure only one type of atom. Here, when there are different types of atoms, then we call them as compounds. Is the concept of compound clear with you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll go to the next slide again. Now we are going to your mixtures. Okay. Mixtures, we said there are two types, homogeneous and heterogeneous. Heterogeneous is when you can see hetero means different. Homo means same. Hetero means can you see the difference? You can see the purple color and the green color beads separately. Okay, you can see those things. Left side there is an example of a pizza given. You can see in the pizza all the components. You can see the base, you can see the pizza sauce, you can see the cheese, you can see all the toppings given on it, everything. That is a mixture, heterogeneous mixture. You can identify it, you can see it with your eyes. Homogeneous is when you can't see with your eyes, when it is mixed. Like I told you, sugar solution, salt solution, fruit juices, and all those all get mixed so well. See, again, I'm telling mixing, dissolving is a physical process. They are just fitting into the each other's spaces. They are not chemically reacting. No chemical reaction is happening there. Okay, so that is why they are called as mixtures. If a chemical reaction was happening, it would form compound. They would be classified as compound, but they are not doing any chemical mixture there. Okay, so mixtures are substances that have no fixed formula and no fixed composition. Example, a lot of examples. I gave you Bhel. I like to give that Bhel example to everyone. Okay, next. Okay, we'll go back to the chart where we had the first slide. We'll go to the first slide, then we'll come back to the periodic table. The first slide where we had that table. Okay. So here we discussed matter into the molecular level of it. When I say pure substances, means the chemical formula is going to remain same whatsoever. It can't change. And in that we studied elements. And in elements, you've got two forms. You've got atoms also, and you've got molecules also. When there is only one, when there is only one round, then we call it as atom. When there are more than one rounds, 2, 3, 4, etc., then it becomes a element. Then it becomes a molecule. Now compound, when taking those elements only, you're making different formulas, chemical formulas, then we call them as compounds. And mixtures, when you come to those mixtures, heterogeneous and homogeneous, where you can see the difference and you can't see the difference. That is what you called as your mixtures. Okay, this is just a complete brief of the three components: element, compounds, and mixtures. Okay, now I'll go a little bit, like 10 minutes, I'll take you all through the periodic table, how it is, what it is. Please concentrate on the periodic table. Okay. If you all are seeing it, I hope you all are seeing it on the big screen. If you all are seeing it on the phone, you can put it on your landscape mode so you can see a bigger picture of it. Okay. Now, how is the periodic table made? Okay. For the periodic table to be made, the scientists tried a lot of methods to come to this final periodic table that we have today. This final periodic table is called as the modern periodic table. Okay, and it was given by the scientist. I forgot the name. It was Mendeleev who did it, and after that,
Dmitry Ivanovich Mendeleev.
Mendeleev. Mendeleev was the one. After that, the modern periodic table was modified by somebody. I cannot tell you next class. Okay, so now the periodic table, if you see, there are horizontal. Okay, I'm talking about sleeping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 is what we call them as rows. There are 7 rows in the periodic table. Each row represents the number of rings that are there in the atom. So if there is only one ring in the atom, it is going to be placed in the first row. If there are 2 rings, like your lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, so those all will have two rings. Two rings is those atomic rings that we're talking about, those electron which are revolving in those rings. Okay, so imagine this to be like a solar system that you have. So in the solar system, your hydrogen and helium has only one ring, where that planet are revolving. Okay, but lithium to neon, they have got two rings where those planets are revolving. Then sodium, magnesium, the third one, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, and all of those, they will be having three rings. From calcium to the last one, krypton number 36, 19 to 36, they'll be having four rings. Fifth one will be having five rings. Sixth one will have six rings. Seventh one will have seven rings. Okay. Now they have placed them according to their atomic number. Atomic number is the number of electrons. So it's very easy to identify. Hydrogen will have one electron. Helium will have two electrons. So the modern periodic table is based on the increasing atomic number. Please write it down somewhere. It is based on increasing atomic number. So when the atomic number is increasing, so whichever element you take, that is the particular atomic number for it. For example, let's consider number 47. Number 47 is Ag, that is silver. So there are how many electrons in silver? There are 47 electrons in silver. The number 94, which we said is naturally occurring, Pu,
94
that will have
electrons.
94 electrons. The number 118 that was artificially prepared will have 118 electrons in it. Very simple. Okay. Now they try to arrange them as per their chemical properties. So if you see the first group, now I'm going vertically. Okay. Vertically, the group number 1 and the group number 2. So the orange colors, the light orange and the bright orange color, those two groups are the metals. They are very reactive metals, very reactive metals. Out of that, sodium, can you see number 11, sodium? It is the most reactive metal. It is so reactive metal that it cannot be placed in air unexposed. If it is left in the air exposed, it will catch fire. Okay, it is so reactive metal. Okay, after that we come to number 3, number 4, number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So from number 3 to number 12, the purple ones, mainly the purple ones, those are also metals. They are also metals, but they are slightly calmer ones. They are not very reactive. They are calmer ones. So in that you will find the metals that we normally use in a day-to-day life. Like number 26, you will see iron, Fe. Number 27, you will see cobalt. Number 28, you will see nickel. Number 29, you will see copper, which we use every day. Number 30, zinc. Below that, 46, 47 is Ag, silver. Below silver is Au, that is 79, that is gold. So all these atoms are slightly calmer atoms. So the name given to these atoms are called as transition metals. Why is it so and what it is so? Just don't ask this right now because it is a little bit more detailing to it. Okay, just remember the first and the second group are very reactive metals. The group number 3 to group number 12, they are slightly calmer metals. Okay. Now on the right hand side, if you can see, there is a orange color marked. Okay, like a kind of a step, like steps. Okay, all those orange ones that are there, and the green ones, also. Okay, so all the orange and the green ones together, we call them as non-metals. They are not behaving like metals. They are behaving like something else. So we call them as non-metals. Okay, so those are the non-metals. So we've got metals, So you can see in nature many metals are there, but non-metals are very few. Non-metals are very few. Okay, and out of those also, some of them, now can you see aluminium 13 number, aluminium 13 number, then germanium 32 number, then 33 arsenic, then antimony 51. Some of them are also uh, like they behave like metals and they behave like non-metals also. So they're behaving like both. So when something is uh, uh, like amphibians, how we have amphibians, they live on water also and they live on land also. They live in water also and they live on land also. So the same way, these are metalloids. They behave like metals also and they behave like non-metals also. So this is mainly the parts of the periodic table that we classify them majorly as metals, non-metals, metalloids. And on the extremely right hand side, you will see a group number 18. Those group number 18 are helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. All of those are called as noble gases. Why they are called noble gases? Because they're very noble. They don't react with anyone whatsoever. आप कुछ भी करो उसके साथ, they will not react. They are not in a position to react at all. Okay, so we say that those are noble gases.
Ma'am,
Okay,
ma'am, I can't see the presentation.
yeah, I think ma'am is coming back. Just 2 minutes, hold on. Okay,
Ma'am,
yes.
in the periodic table that you were showing us, it had scandium and yttrium in lanthanides.
Okay.
Aren't they in transition metals?
Yes, they are in the transition metals. So there is a more detailing to it, Janvi, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so Janvi, there is more detailing to it that why they are, and there are two separate series. One is called the actinide series, and one is called as the lanthanide series. Those both series
Ma'am,
are
I
there
found the periodic
existing.
table which you had in that presentation.
No problem. Very good. You can see a lot of all the periodic tables are going to be the same. They're going to be all the same because they have to be the same. They are the modern periodic table. Okay, so coming back to actinide and lanthanide, there is going to be a separate column for it. Why it is so and why is it so? A very detailing part is going to go into it. But just remember, they are in the transition metals only. They are part of the transition metals only. Okay.
Mom, I didn't understand what are transition metals.
So why we call them transition? Basically because on the left side we have got extremely reactive metals, and on the right side we get non-metals, right? So they are like they are going as a transition from metals to non-metals. So that's why we call them as a transition. They are passing from the stage of metals to non-metals. That is why the name given to them is transition. It's just a name given by human being. Okay, it's just for our convenience we've named it that way. Okay, I think now ma'am has come and you can see the presentation. So periodic table, uh, we classify the 118 elements that we know up till now into 4 categories. We classify them into metals, non-metals, the in-between ones, that is the metalloids, and the extremely right ones, those are called as the noble gases. These noble gases are available in the air around you. They are completely available around you, and people extract it from the air only for the use. Okay, so these elements are available in the air and they are very noble. They will not react with anything. They will not react with anything at all. Okay, so this is kind of a brief of the periodic table. It's just a brief of it. There is much more to it. Remember that there are how they are placed: metals, left side, non-metals right side, extremely right side will be the noble gases. In between ones, there's some of them which are called as metalloids. They behave as metals and non-metal as well. And in between ones, there are those are called as the transition metals. Okay. When we'll go to the part where we'll be doing metals and non-metals, we'll study more detailing into what are the properties of metals. So that we'll go into the properties of metals when we'll do the metal and not the metallurgy part of it. Okay. So I just hope the whole matter concept is clear with you all. Physically,
Yes,
we go
ma'am.
to see matter. We see three states of matter: solid, liquid, gases. They can be converted to each other by physical processes, that is by heat or by pressure, and uh, and also um, we saw how the matter remains same. Matter will neither be created nor be destroyed. I am not talking about nuclear reactions. Okay, in nuclear reaction also we are making something that was known. We are not making something unknown. But yes, you do destroy the atom, but you destroy it and get into a known part of it only. There's no unknown part that you're coming out with it. Okay, so matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. The mass is going to remain the same. First test that we do, the mass test. The second test, if you go to see the further the structure, the molecular structure of it, we see that the number of molecules are remaining, the number of atoms are remaining same before and after. In elements, there are atoms. When someone says atom, you will know the difference between atom and molecule. So when I'm saying atom, it's only a single round. It's just a single one bead, a single moti. Okay, but when I say molecule, means there are more than one. So when I say that in atmosphere there are molecules of hydrogen, there is molecule of oxygen, you will not just say H, you will have to say H2 because I'm saying molecule. Okay, and if I am combining two types of elements together, then they are becoming compounds. So you got a lot of compound around us. So you all can come up with a list next time for a number of compounds around you, just in your house only. Any 10 compounds in your house, and make a list with the chemical formula of it. So you will get a little bit brief into the chemical formula also and the concept of compound also. And mixtures,
Okay,
very
ma'am.
easy to understand. Mixtures, we'll have heterogeneous mixtures and homogeneous mixtures. Hetero is when you can see it with your eyes that it is a mixture. Homo is when you can't see it with your eyes, but it is a mixture because it is not chemically combining with each other. I told you all before only. When they are not combining chemically with each other, it is only seems. It only seems that it is mixing, but it is not actually mixing. Okay. So we've come to the end of this session. I hope it is clear with you all. Any doubts, you all can come up.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No.
You all understood everything?
No, ma'am.
You all understood
Yes, ma'am.
everything? So
Yes,
if I give
ma'am.
you a test,
Not
if I give you,
exactly.
if I
I
give
didn't
you,
understand everything. I didn't understand the ring
Excuse me,
thing.
ma'am. Can you show the periodic table slide once again?
yeah, periodic table.
Ma'am, I didn't understand the ring thing. In the first row, there are one rings.
Okay. When you will have more detail of the periodic table, no, that time you'll understand that.
I will quickly share one screen where they'll be able to see the ring. Just
Okay.
1 moment, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
So this is a ring. So if there is one ring where the electrons are revolving, then it is going to be in the first row. Here they are showing that there are two rings where those white electrons are continuously revolving. So they will be in the second row. So this element is one that is placed somewhere in the second row. And counting the number of electrons, you can judge. So in the first ring there are 2 electrons. In the second ring there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 and 2, 8. So this must be an atom of 8, that is neon. Not neon, sorry. 8,
Oxygen.
na? So oxygen. So that's what I'm saying, that it is more detailing into it. Just understand right now, periodic table has metals, non-metals, metalloids, and noble gases. I think that is enough for your level right now.
Ma'am, I think it's oxygen. Oxygen, I think is number 8.
Sorry?
Ma'am, 8 electrons is oxygen, right?
Yeah, I corrected. No, oxygen.
So the number given is the number of electrons in the total. सारे
Yeah.
मिला के all the electrons is the number of the what is element.
Yes. Okay. So I think we'll sign off for today, and we'll meet you all next week.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, guys. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Sanika?